Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it's a slowdown and a Morgan Wallen episode, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. So full disclosure, I actually did get some good news from YouTube on the back end that their bug has been fixed, and the whole escrow issue should not be a thing anymore. But since I trust YouTube about as much as I trust, Billboard, like last week, there's going to be a little bit less copyrighted footage and content here. Glad y'all were very understanding. I really do appreciate it, especially on another slightly slower week. Not exactly a good one, but alright, let's get into it. Top 10, where, as I predicted, As It Was by Harry Styles reclaimed the number 1. When you've got this much radio momentum, plus strong sales and streaming, there's not really much that can compete, especially when First Class by Jack Harlow tumbles back a bit to earth at number 2. Now, it still rules streaming, which will keep it in position, especially as the sales really are still there, but with the radio a lot slower to get into gear, it might not be a serious challenger in the weeks ahead, especially given some other coming streaming disruptions. Now, I'd say that places Heat Waves by Glass Animals on a bit of the downturn at number 3. Yeah, it picked up a bit on streaming, but it lost the top spot on the radio. It's getting rotated out, unfortunately in favor of Big Energy by Lotto, Mariah Carey, and DJ Khaled at number 4, which also got a sales boost, and Enemy by Imagine Dragons and JID at number 5, where there's slightly better streaming. Then there's Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber at number 6. It's not quite falling off on the radio as quickly as you might expect, but it's now facing competition, debuting at number 7, Don't Think Jesus by Morgan Wallen. I'll talk a lot more about the song later on, but with huge sales, big streaming, it's the same formula and approach that his team had before, and even if Nashville radio is slow to catch up with it, it looks like enough folks have gotten right back behind him. We'll talk about it later. Next, we had Woman by Doja Cat at number 8, where it looks like she's topped out on the radio, and that's about all she's got. Followed by a dip for Super Gremlin by Kodak Black at number 9, as streaming that is mostly stable won't be enough to support a position more on the upswing. And Ghost by Justin Bieber's at number 10, because it's even more radio dependent than Woman, and it's on its way out too. Now that takes us to our losers and dropouts. Latter category, nothing really that big beyond Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home by Elle King and Miranda Lambert exiting the charts yet again, along with To Be Loved by You by Parker McCollum that's fading out and likely just missing the year-end list. Our losers, meanwhile, they feel all over the place. Off the debut, we saw Right On by Lil Baby hit 28. Off the gains, we saw Nail Tech by Jack Harlow skid down to 56. Handsomer by Russ and Caitlin hit 70. And City of Gods by 504 and Kanye West and Alicia Keys fall back to 84. Not really complaining about those last two. Also not complaining about our continued losses for In My Head by Lil TJ at 78, Soy El Unico by Yatrisa Su Esencia at 80, or The Family Madrigal by the Encanto Cast at 93. The last two losses are country though, with Slow Down Summer by Thomas Rhett hitting 64, and Circles Around This Town by Maren Morris at 77. And that's kind of a shame because the song has actually grown on me a little bit. But now flipping over to our returns and gains, well, alright, in the former category, I don't exactly have a lot of faith that Hate Our Love by Queen Naija and Big Sean is going to go anywhere at 94, nor Money So Big by Yeet at 97. I mean, forget their own traction, I know what's coming down the line that's going to likely keep them off the charts. But it did feel like the gains slowed down to a crawl this week, basically because they're all in country, Music Row's rotating out for the season. Now, on the one hand, I'm not exactly pleased that Trouble with a Heartbreak by Jason Aldean went up to 59, but on the other hand, we saw a nice big boost for If I Was a Cowboy by Miranda Lambert at 53, and Damn Straight by Scotty McCreery up to 76. Even if I'm not especially crazy about the former song, I'm still chalking both of these up to a win. Let's hope they get some traction. But now we got our new arrivals. Pretty reasonable list here, so to speak. Let's start off with number 99, Fall in Love by Bailey Zimmerman. It's a blessing and the next it's already gone. I'm broken heart, I'm a walking testimony. My confession is a lesson that I'm pouring out in this song. Well, I guess country songs going viral on TikTok's going to become a thing now, so alright. Here's Bailey Zimmerman. This is a song that seems to have gone independently viral, doesn't seem to have an album yet, and wow, this guy really wants to sound like Morgan Wallen. I mean, think about it. The gravelly delivery, the sour, melancholic tone post-breakup where he's still very much not over it, the questionably over-polished vocal production, and yet I'm not sure I dislike it. For one, the guitars have a lot more warmth overall against the live drums. The guitar solo was kind of nice too. And I really like how the composition changed up the melody so sharply from the bridges onto a little bit more of a major key hook. And while the song is remarkably bitter and a little bit adolescent in its melodrama that you don't want to fall in love, I mean, there's enough of a rollick to the hook that I can basically get behind the main emotional through line here. I'm not going to say it's great. Again, the influence really hangs over this, but not bad either. Kind of curious where this guy winds up going. Number 86, Leave You Alone by Kane Brown. Baby, my love won't leave you alone. And speaking of country acts who built their careers on going viral, Kane Brown's got a new song, and yep, can't say I'm surprised he locked into the boyfriend country niche that leans a little bit more on R&B and soul given his trajectory the past couple of years. But in fairness, he's also opting for more organic percussion, some supple bass presence, warmer guitars, and even subtle hints of strings underneath him. But when you realize that he's leaning more than he should on some synthesized backing vocals that don't quite fit to obscure how lacking in passion he sounds, alongside a kind of dicey sentiment for a love song and how his love will persist and will never leave her alone forever and ever, well, it kind of highlights how a lot of boyfriend country is starting to fall towards cliche and formula. Honestly sounds a little bit trite. Yeah, I know, I'm not the target audience, but I can also recognize when Kane Brown sounds checked out on a song. This is one of those cases. I mean, it's fine for what it is. I'm not a fan. Number 83, GINE by 6ix9ine. Hey, I thought we were done with this guy. I mean, he had his little flicker of success in 2020, then everyone got back to the same point of him being insufferably one-dimensional and then just moved on. But apparently there's enough folks who are still backing the snitching sex offender, so we got this, and it's mostly just the same bargain barrel gunplay we always get. But there are a few revealing moments. One is that he's noticing that shouting out everyone's names isn't working anymore because the rap game has realized he's an attention-seeking troll best ignored, but then he takes the next step, drops the beat out, and shouts out Lil Durk to go kill people because King Von got shot, and if he doesn't fight back, he didn't ride with his friend. Now, first off, Youngboy and Lil Durk have been going back and forth around this for most of the year. I should know, I've been covering it with increasing dismay. And 6ix9ine, wait, he's not a factor in King Von's death. He's just bringing it up because nobody otherwise would give a shit that his broke ass is still flailing around for his mistake of a career. Because really, what else does he have with this song? The flow is basic and increasingly clunky, especially with the stuttered hook. The piano line backing him up might have some menace, but the trap groove sounds really cheap. And once again, 6ix9ine has nothing interesting to say. Empty shock tactics from the SoundCloud waifu whose 15 minutes are up. In other words, it sucks, it's not worth caring about even to get mad. Next. Number 55, Flowers by Lauren Spencer Smith.
I guess I should have been more conscious how you spoke to me.
I'll admit I'm kind of shocked that Lauren Spencer Smith was able to notch a second song in the Hot 100, and then I realized at some point she signed to Republic. That likely gave her a boost in the distribution to help a second song really pick up virality, and yeah, you know what? Don't really care for this one either. A very spare piano ballad where you get the post-breakup angst and a lot going on throughout the course of the song in terms of the relationship dynamic. Cause on the one hand, if he was cheating, it makes a lot of sense for her to call out some behavior that feels manipulative on his part, especially if he now wants her back. But on the other hand, the emotional dynamics of the song seem really wonky, because the first half sets up how she fell very hard, very fast, and he just was not at that same point. And that's fair. And then there's the line on the hook of how when they'd fight, he'd give her space and not communicate, which on the one hand could seem very emotionally distant or dishonest, but it could also just be being conscious of someone's feelings so they can actually get some alone time, calm down. But the general sentiment of the song is basically how flowers shouldn't just be for apologies. They should find someone who gives them all that sense of love and attention every day, all the time, which she totally has right now. So why does this entire song scream not over it? I mean, you can tell there's a desire to write a retrospective, mature, post-breakup song, but there's no real complexity or looking outside of herself in this moment. And when you pair it with very drippy vocals and an underwhelming composition and dated production, it just can't sell the drama for me. So yeah, I mean, I get the appeal, but just okay. At best. Number 51, Shake It by K-Flock, Cardi B, Dougie B, and Bori 300. Alright, so originally K-Flock put out a version of this New York drill track back in January, went viral on TikTok thanks to the Akon and Sean Paul samples, and then the label got their hands on it to throw on Cardi B and Dougie B for the added star power. I mean, it's not exactly surprising, and it's starting to get real exasperating how so many of these drill beats are just 2,000 samples fed with the same stock bass warping and percussion stutter. But alright, even if the rappers are defaulting to standard gunplay and flexing, they all sound pretty visceral on this production. That can normally be enough. But let's be real, Cardi is the real big presence on the song, and I'm kind of conflicted, because on the one hand, she absolutely has the personality to ride this beat, and her flow is actually surprisingly solid. She could do drill. But on the other hand, her punchlines are nothing all that interesting. That Hakuna Matata line is actually both derivative of Tyler, the Creator, and also kind of corny. But then when she dropped the R slur, I was about done with this. What songs like this are telling me is that the loss of Pop Smoke created a real vacuum in drill that the industry wants to fill, but they're struggling to find the right way to do it. And yeah, doesn't impress me. Number 50, About Damn Time by Lizzo.
Okay, alright, it's about damn time.
I keep seeing people talking about their surprise that Lizzo's not a bigger pop star, but at this point, I think it's worth asking the question whether or not she just caught a moment in 2019 thanks to flashy production and a lot of personality, and there wasn't that much backing it up. It's not like Ricky Reed as a producer has a reputation for acts in this lane or something. I don't know, I've always been a lot considerably cooler on Lizzo's music the past few years, and I never thought Rumors was remotely special with Cardi B. The label clearly had bigger plans that this was going to be way bigger than it was. But now with the next big single, wow, they just wanted a second shot to make Juice work, didn't they? Same new disco bass line and flashy melody that's leaning a lot on Lizzo's personality to anchor the bounce. She brings out the flute for the bridge, and it's all about relying on Lizzo drawing bad bitch energy to have a good time on the dance floor. But there's something about this that feels a little off. Like all Ricky Reed songs, there's limited texture in the production, which is not how I like my disco. But I think the problem is the vibe with this. Juice was exuberance with flair, a loose sense of fun, whereas this is leaning into bravado that even on the pre-chorus feels a little bit undercut. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. It's certainly built to be a proper hit and get the run that Juice actually probably deserved, but I'm not sure Lizzo plays cool all that well, and a song like this kind of needs that, which keeps it in the realm of just decent. At least for me. And finally, number 7, Don't Think Jesus by Morgan Wallen.
But I don't think Jesus does it that way.
You know, I think I'd be more willing to give Morgan Wallen a proper second chance if I saw that Music Row had remotely changed or learned anything the past 15 months. And it kind of sucks now he's stuck in a culture war where he's likely still battling his own demons, and that I've got mixed and messy opinions on his music going back years now, which in any complicated opinion is set to get stripped down in the gristmill of modern internet discourse. I mean, it certainly has impacted my opinions of his music, where paradoxically Sand in My Boots is weirdly working more after that incident, but it also exposed just how much the rest of his catalog was badly produced junk, where if his marketing and promotion plan was copied by better artists, we probably wouldn't even need to bother with this conversation. Hell, the rip-offs are already coming out! But leaving it at that, Well, I've got mixed opinions on this song. On the one hand, it's nice to hear a warmer country ballad in the guitars, the pedal steel, and the heavier drums. And you can tell that Morgan Wallen's really trying to sell this with a lot of passion. Probably why he thought the falsetto on the hook was a good idea, of which I would strongly disagree. But then we get to the content, where you get a song about a guy who writes songs, but has had his heart broken, and he drinks way too much, and he questions what forgiveness would look like and what would Jesus do. And if you don't think the subtext is very explicit about his own situation, it certainly circles around by the outro. It's very obvious what this song is trying to do. That's why I mentioned all that stuff at the very start, even though we're all sick of talking about it. And you know, it's not my place to forgive Morgan Wallen one way or the other. Not like he did anything to me. And with that, I actually do believe he's dearly sorry about all this. But this sort of public contrition winds up feeling a little bit hollow when you know it's backed up by a label that's going to make the big Christian redemption arc his next big marketing swing, especially with a newfound top 10 hit on a song he didn't even write. And it's going to work too. Hell, it already has. He's got the hit. America loves the redemption arc, especially coaxed through Christianity. The frustrating thing is that the song is otherwise just fine. But given what it's doing, and how thoroughly tired I am of this conversation, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to go back to it all that much. Just saying. And yet it's neither the best nor the worst of the week, which actually wound up pretty straightforward with the worst. That going to GINE by 6ix9ine. I mean, how could it be anything else? The best, I mean, kind of a toss-up between Lizzo and Bailey Alexander of all people. But I actually think Lizzo is going to get it, if only because the groove is really good, and a lesser version of Juice still has that quality. Next week, though, I keep hearing that Pusha T could actually have gotten an album bomb based on some promising streaming numbers. We'll have to see, but until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.